I'm joined by Alex Cole-Hamilton, who's the Head of Policy for Aberlour Childcare Trust. Morning to you, Alex.
Morning, Kate.
Good morning. And Lesley Scott from the Times Trust Scotland, which is an ME charity. Good morning to you, Lesley.
Good morning,
Good
Kate.
morning. Now, between the two of you, because I know that you've got slightly different takes on the scheme, but between the two of you, if we could just sort of concentrate, first of all, on getting some idea of what is actually involved in it for people who are not entirely familiar. So, Alex, if I can start with you, and then, Leslie, you can chime in with the aspects that you're particularly interested in. What would be you're not allowed to say idiot's guide anymore, Alex. What would be your very simple explanation, Alex, of what is involved in the named person scheme?
Sure. Well, if I can start by unpicking something you said at the top of the article, and that's about this being a guardian for every family, and I think that's actually quite an unhelpful term. And has
every child.
Yeah, so, well, child and family, because this named person will have a service to the family as well as the child. But the term guardian, I think, is slightly misleading because it suggests somebody that's going to have this oversight and is going to, watch every sort of step that child takes throughout the course of its day at school. This codifies best practice. It puts in place a named person who is a single point of contact and is often, or will be, as is specified in the Act, a promoted member of staff within a school faculty. That person will have literally hundreds of children in their under their sort of named person service, if you like. So they couldn't possibly undertake the role of a guardian or sort of snoop around in that young person's life. They're there for whenever that family needs to access state support as that single point of contact. And the traffic of communication will almost universally be from the family to the named person when they need help.
So could you give us an example of how you would see it working then, just to make it real for people?
Yeah, okay. So the named person's been working in Highland, in Fife, in lots of parts of the country for some time now. And it's really what you would hope to be happening anyway when you drop your kid off at the school, that there is somebody there who's got an overview of the welfare and the well-being of your child. But if you, as could happen to any family in any walk of life in Scotland, if you hit the bricks for one reason or another, whether that's financial concerns, whether it's a family breakup, or there's something where you might just need that little bit of state intervention, but you don't know where to turn, then there is somebody who is known to you in the school, somebody who's trained and understands the sort of processes of state support that can signpost you to the right avenue that you're looking for.
And do you get to choose your person?
No, I mean, that's assigned to you at first, but if there is a conflict, we've worked very closely with the Scottish Government to ensure that if a conflict exists, like a relationship breakdown, or if it's inappropriate because maybe you're related to the person that's been assigned to you, that you can be reassigned a new named person.
And you're saying that most of the traffic would be from family to assigned person, but could the assigned person, and I appreciate that you're saying that their caseload would be such that it would be very unlikely, but could they initiate a conversation back? Could they express some concerns about your family? Because I guess that's what people would worry about.
Well, they could. They're there to pull the threads together as well. As you would hope, any sort of senior teacher, guidance teacher or deputy head would be keeping an overview. And if they start to see a picture emerging around a child, then they can initiate some discussions on that basis. But you would hope that would happen anyway, that there is somebody looking out for warning signs. But as I say, these are very busy professionals, and this isn't their principal job. They get proper training and they know what to do. They are there as a resource for families in need.
Well, just before I bring Lesley in, can I ask you then, Alex, what do you think the benefits are of having this named person scheme over and above the situation that currently pertains?
Well, it just rationalises what should be best practice already, that every family knows there's somebody they can go to if there's a problem. This really isn't the intrusion that the opponents to this scheme think it is. If it was, we wouldn't support it. I mean, we've worked very closely to ensure that children's rights and family rights are absolutely enshrined within the premise of this Act.
Well, let's bring in Lesley. So there you go, a responsible person to go to if you've got a problem. And that sounds eminently sensible, Lesley.
Yeah, well, I think, what's just been said there is part of the problem, because on the one hand they say, well, it doesn't change anything that's already in practice, that this is already going on and it's just somebody for parents to go to. Parents already know who they need to go to if there's a problem. They already know who their child's teacher is. They already know who their GP is, their health visitor. These are all people who are already in place if the parents have a problem. What this is doing is that it's empowering the named person to police the happiness of Scottish children. They can access and share confidential medical data, their school records. They can question the child and give them advice and supply services to them without the parents' consent, and on the basis of what they think is most likely to make them happy. This is not just a single point of contact that for parents to access. This is for anybody to raise a concern, and it's not a concern about significant risk or harm. This is a concern about well-being, a much lower, broader, undefined threshold that the state is now allowed to intervene into family life.
But Alex has just told us that these individuals will have, a fairly large caseload, hundreds of children. Really, are you expecting them to just start nosing around in people's business for the hell of it?
Well, the point is that this is what the legislation allows them to do. And so the point is, at what point do the teachers and health visitors stop being teachers and health visitors and start being named persons and looking into the well-being of every child under their care? That's what the legislation requires them to do. The statutory duties are to promote, support and safeguard the well-being of every child under their care. And yes, they do have enormous amounts of workload anyway, and now the Scottish Government is putting on top of that this enormous bureaucratic burden of the named person, which comes under the whole GIRFEC framework. And if you look at the assessment process, which is under the GIRFEC framework, the bureaucracy in it is huge. So in order for these people to be carrying out assessments, which they're required to do under their statutory duties, it's an enormous burden upon them, upon professions who are already at breaking point.
Right. So do you see no benefits in this at all, or you're just worried about its scope?
No, I don't think it's required. I don't think it's needed. This is intrusion into the lives of every family in the country. You're broadening the net. The one analogy that's been used by somebody within our campaign is that you already are looking for a needle in a haystack if you're talking about children at risk of vulnerable children. All you're doing with this is making the haystack bigger. You're not increasing the number of people looking for that needle. Well,
the Scottish Government's going to put its case at the appeal today, but Alex, just to come back to you, what was happening that made anyone feel that this was necessary? Where was the gap? Where was the lack?
Well, I think it's not so much a gap or a lack. It was recognising that actually where this had been piloted in Highland, there were some really good examples of this drawing the threads together. And I think if we can unpack...
But see, that's such a kind of airy-fairy expression, isn't it? Well, yes, I will, but, time is pressing. Really, what people want to know, because some people might be alarmed by what Lesley's saying, is give me a positive example of where this has made a child or a family's life better. Drawing together threads doesn't really mean anything.
Well, it absolutely does. It presents a single point of contact so that any family, and this is a prevention...
Yeah, but give me an example. You say it's already been piloted in other parts of the country. Give me an example of where it's worked in a better fashion than what was there before or not there before.
Well, it just, you want to, I don't have specific case examples to give you. Because this is all about prevention, Kay, and it's all about setting in place a system whereby we can get to families earlier who need our support, who need state support, and offer them an intervention by signposting
whether they want it or not.
Or support. No, as I said at the start, the traffic of communication will almost universally be from families to the named person. If I can unpack some of your arguments.
If the state thinks that there is a problem, so the risk indicators involved in this process are being under 5 years old. There's 222 risk indicators. Being under 5 years old is one, illness within the extended family, and parental resistance or limited engagement is also a risk
the well-being
factor.
Indicators. You would hope that anybody, when you leave your child at the school gates, you would hope that there is somebody there looking out for the well-being of your child, that they are safe, that they are healthy, that they are nurtured and achieving, and that if there is something acting as a demonstrable barrier, if there's something acting as a demonstrable barrier, that people start asking questions as to what is the problem there. But at the same time, if this was designed as a role that was going to actually to start unpicking the lives and families of in every walk of life in society, you would not pick somebody who is one of the busiest people in the school. They are a senior promoted post who has to go about their daily duties, and they will have several hundred children for whom they are the named person. It just means that they.
But
I mean,
Alex, you might not have the fears that Lesley
yeah.
has, that that people are going to start interfering in the lives of families unduly. To still want to ask the question, what benefit is this going to bring? How because it's clearly going to be a massive project. I mean, administratively, it's just got to be big to put on further pressures onto individuals, as you've both said, are already busy. So you have to be able to demonstrate this is going to make life better.
Well, it will do, because I dispute the point that was made at the start where you said, well, everyone knows who they should go to if they hit a crisis. That's absolutely not true, because you don't know who in the school has training, who you trust, or would be able to signpost you to the
I'd go to the head
kinds
teacher,
of
wouldn't I?
interventions.
Wouldn't I?
Well, at the moment you might do, but you might. I mean, that head teacher would then be the named person for absolutely every member of their school, and this just simplifies things and make it spreads that workload so that there's somebody who is known to you that is a single point of contact that you can address those concerns to and raise those questions with.
You can't have it both ways, though. You can't be saying this is somebody who knows the family, knows the intricacies of that family, and yet say that, well, they're the named person for 200 people, so they can't, they can't be involved in the minutiae of their lives.
But the named person isn't meant to be involved in the minutiae of everybody's life.
How do they know them well enough
that's
to
the
intervene
misapprehension.
on well-being?
This is why the original judicial review was thrown out so comprehensively with a stinging rebuke for the people that brought it in the first place. Because
there was no stinging rebuke.
Well, there was. They said that there is no case to answer here,
right,
because this is not the intrusion that you think it is.
Listen, Alex and Liz, I'm afraid you've set the hair running here, and I know that it's something that we will certainly return to, and I'm certainly anticipating it coming up in the phone-in hour pretty shortly, because the appeal is ongoing, and the Scottish Government is putting its case today, so it probably is something that I would imagine a wider audience would want to discuss. But thank you very much, Alex Cole-Hamilton, who's the Head of Policy for Aberlour Childcare Trust, who is very much in favour of the named person scheme, and as you've heard, Lesley Scott of the Times Trust Scotland and ME Charity has got her reservations.